Hi, everybody. Welcome. St. James and I just finished watching Chris Rock's Selective Outrage, out now on Netflix. And we wanted to share some of our overall impressions and what we thought of it. How did you like the special?
I thought it was really good. I thought it was fantastic, to be honest with you. Especially when you consider all the hype behind it, all the, I guess, the intense emotions that I have to assume one Chris Rock felt doing it. Thought it was good. If I had to give it a grade, I would give it an A minus.
That's a pretty good grade. I loved it too. I'm not gonna lie. I'm right there with you. A minus, maybe A, because honestly, for me, it was a overall much more improved Chris Rock than his last special, which was Tambourine, I believe.
I agree.
And I'm not gonna lie, that was like I did not like that special, or maybe not like is a pretty strong word. Chris Rock just didn't meet my expectations there. Go ahead.
No, I feel that. Did you see the unedited version of it?
No, I have not yet.
When you get a chance, watch that. So he does the original Tambourine, which I also did not like, and then he does a second one what is unedited. So this shows one thing people don't know about stand-up is a lot of it is made and not made. This is comedy, actually, down the middle. A lot of it's made and not made in the editing. Like I've seen good editors make videos, and I've seen bad editors kill good ideas. But then he releases another one called Tambourine, something unedited or Tambourine like version 2.
Blackout. I think it's called Blackout.
And that one is so much better. Like his light and day. It's almost like a new special.
And when you say, we're going to get into Selective Outrage in just a second, but when you say the Tambourine, the extended edition is better, what do you mean by better? I mean, like looks-wise or the material that was included? Can you just go in a little detail?
Yeah, so to me, he is more material in the second one. The flow is better. So the thing about somebody like Chris Rock, and Roy Wood Jr. does this as well, they're really good at pacing and timing. Is very nuanced. So if you don't really do stand-up, it's hard to tell. But the way they would pace back and forth, they do it in a way where they can edit the jokes so that he can do a special and then edit it and make it a different special because he ends the same place every time. So the thing that makes the second one better is the pace is better. So I think personally, he probably put the jokes in the order that they're meant to be. Because you know this, Ali. Half of a good stand-up set, let alone a special, is how you open and how you close. So if they took out a couple jokes in the beginning and moved it to the back, or a couple jokes from the back and put it to the beginning, it's a new special. And then like it's certain places where, and Chris Rock's really good at this, where he'll put like the family material in the middle, and he does that intentionally because he goes, that's usually the slower part of the conversation, but by then you're hooked, you're into it, right? So he does. So the thing he probably did, the thing Netflix probably did, is they were like, oh, we want these jokes in the front for whatever reason, and that threw the special off. And then he comes back behind it. I think he probably dropped it the way he wanted it to be dropped, and it flows better. It's just a better flow, and it's more jokes.
Yeah. And now that you bring it up, I noticed the family jokes were the ones that just felt off. And wow, now it's amazing that you bring that up. And I'm going to bring up another topic. With some certain comedians, there's an economy of words, and Chris Rock is one of them, where they don't use a lot of words, but the jokes are very punchy and very hilarious. And this goes into this special, and this is what I loved about this special is everything is so brief. It breezes by. Hour and 10, just like that. Like, you don't even believe it. You don't even believe it. So overall opinion, very, very positive for both of us. Before we get into the material, personally for me, something that really just grabbed my attention was the way Selective Outrage looked. Did you notice anything about it? Did you like anything about just the way it looked, his outfit, the set? Did you feel anything about that, or was it just like, oh, it's just a special?
I didn't. I wasn't in love with the opening. I thought his fit was good, but to me, you can tell Chris Rock is getting older, or if not old. Cause it felt like an old dude trying to be hip with the white sleeves half rolled up. I just like, it's like, and here's the thing, Chris Rock is so good, even though he's getting old, he still has a hipness to him. But I like the aesthetics of the special. I wasn't in love with the opening. I thought the outfit was okay. It looked fine. It wasn't nothing special.
I'm glad you're saying this because I'm gonna bring some things up that just popped into my head as I was watching it. So, starting with the outfit, he went with an all-white look, and white usually means honesty, usually means purity. So this was Chris Rock at his most pure, at his most honest, and especially because of the stuff that he talked about on the very end of the special that we're gonna get to. This was him actually saying, like, or trying to kind of represent that in these jokes is my true feelings. Or that's how it came across to me, where it just felt so, I was like, oh wow, this guy's like just saying it like it is. Just like, this is how he exactly feels. And moving on to the set, what really captivated me was, did you see the mirrors? Like the set was kind of inward and there was like mirrors all around.
I think I did notice that.
So I don't know if you remember, but Chris Rock has said that when he was starting stand-up, he had a room in the place he was staying that he would have mirrors that he would look. So this was kind of a callback, because like, I can't be the old Chris Rock, but this is kind of like a flavor that I'm going to bring back from, this is how I started. And that's how kind of it felt to me, where it was like, this is like a raw, a rugged, a more real Chris Rock, which is why I liked. And Tambourine, again, the last special, didn't come across that way, which felt like he was sugarcoating stuff. But here he was like very, very just direct and to the point with you. And one last thing, the location for me, it was shot in Baltimore. Oh, yeah. And Baltimore, yeah, it's like a raw, rugged city, you know? It's not, nobody goes for vacation in Baltimore, you know? Nobody.
Ha. You're right. You're right. Sometimes I drive past Baltimore. I'm like, let me get the fuck out of this place, bro.
Yo, for real.
Before somebody robs me.
Yeah, for real. And for me, it was just all of this came out, and I just wanted to bring these out to you, and just kind of, this is how I felt when I was watching it, and this kind of things that popped out to me.
I agree. I think, because here's the one thing too, and I think it has to be intentional, right? He was pacing the stage like we haven't seen. When's the last time you seen Chris Rock pace the stage like that? I haven't seen him pace the stage like that in like 2-3 specials, and I think that was intentional. I think, ironically enough, I think he was like, everything that's happened, he's probably like, let me get back to my roots, which is a cool thing to see, right? It's like, because he's definitely, I don't think about my top 5, but he's for sure my top 5. And for a lot of people, he's goated. And I think, you know, most of that is just stand-up. So it's cool to see him probably go, let me become the guy I used to be, which is arguably the best comedian walking the planet.
And this special just kind of proved how good he is and how good he can be, and just elevated him to like just he was already up there, but he just kind of came out here as like, this is who I am, and I loved it. I'm glad you bring up his status. And how do you think before this special, how was Chris Rock's status, like just amongst comedians, or how you thought of him? And now after this special, how do you think of him now?
Ooh, okay. So that's a great question. I think this special reminded me how good he was. And I don't think I forgot. I think when I talk about the greats, Chris Rock is always in the conversation. But this to me was like Jordan coming back from retirement for the second three-peat. That's how this felt. No, for real. Up. That's how it felt. It felt like Buddy came back. To me, this special has a similar feel to when Dave came back and did a couple specials. It was like, oh, this is the best guy. What have we been debating about for forever? This is the guy. This is the guy who does this. So I think among comedians, I think most people, I think the problem Chris Rock's gonna have is the average person who isn't a super stand-up fan. Those are the people he has to win back over or remind how good he was. But comedians still know how good he is. I think everybody says Chris Rock is top 10 regardless of who your list is.
No, I definitely agree. And I'm kind of in the same boat as you. Like I've known of Chris Rock. I've loved his comedy, but I was never a fan or like went out and like seeked extra material and all that. And after watching this, it kind of makes me want to go, you know what? I'm kind of want to watch the old stuff again. I kind of want to watch everything that just he put out, just so I can soak this all in and kind of enjoy his offering and his comedy.
And
let's move on. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Let's move on.
All right. Let's move on to the title of the special, Selective Outrage. When you first heard that, what did you think of it?
You know what's funny? So when he started this special, I thought, Selective Outrage, I kind of thought it was going to be I don't know, it's crazy. With Selective Outrage, I thought he was going to, when I heard the title, I thought he was going to make more of a point about Will Smith, and all the people who are defending him, but then all the hypocrisy inherently in that conversation of defending a man who hit another man for a joke. Just that in statement itself, it's like there's no real defense for that. It's words compared to physical action. So I thought he was going to stay on that topic longer, but then he kind of did the opposite, which I thought was so dope, which is let's go, hey, I'm not a victim. I'm Chris Rock. And I was like, that was fire. I really fucked with that message. I was like, yeah, because he's not a victim. Well, he's not a complete victim. Because here's the thing, man. As much as I don't like what happened to him, if I can get slapped today by Will Smith and be Chris Rock tomorrow, slap me, baby. Slap me in the face. So I liked it. I didn't see it coming. I thought he was going to get on a high horse and talk about how he's a victim and how everybody's choosing what to be mad at, except the things to actually be mad at, which he did do that. But then he flipped it and say, I'm not a victim because I have real problems out there. And I thought that shit was fire.
Yeah, I'm exactly. We didn't even talk about the special before we started recording this. And it's so funny how, I had the same feeling. I had the same feeling. I heard the title like 6 months out. And it was so interesting to me because I've had the same thoughts as you. I was like, oh my God, like he's going to go in. It's going to be dissective. He's going to like bring out examples. And the special is like the opposite of it. And he's really exploring what selective outrage can be in different, places in life. So the title like just has a whole new meaning now after watching the special. So, all right, let's talk about standout moments. And I'm going to give you a couple examples, and I'll let you just kind of go off and talk about what you liked. My favorite parts were, number one, the favorite bit I had was, the favorite bit he had that I loved was Chris Rock's daughter getting kicked out of the private high school. And I thought that whole story was amazing. I want to believe it. I want to believe the whole thing is true. It's just so good. It's just so good. And it's interesting how even with all that fame, fortune, glory, and your kids being like highly educated, you still got like, problems you got to deal with that are just as basic as this. I did the same shit. I just, I got trouble in different ways. And also the ending, the slap talk. He talks about that at the very end of the special because he knows that's what people want. I love that. Everything he said, it was hilarious about it. And overall, like it gave me a new perspective of it because we haven't heard of him talking about it in detail. And after hearing what he had to say, it was, I'm thinking about the whole situation differently. What did you think?
Yeah, the mic drop at the end was my favorite part. Cause I like, especially somebody at his level, people like him, when him and Dave beat their chest about how good they are, I enjoy that shit because he deserves it. So that him dropping the mic to me was symbolic on multiple levels. One, I win Will Smith. Two, I'm the dopest nigga in the game. And three, fuck it. I'm just gonna drop the mic. I'm just gonna do this shit, bro. So I thought that was my favorite part. Him saying he wasn't a victim was probably the second. And then three, him talking about the fact that he does drugs now. He hinted at that, and the fact that he might be, doing a little of the sugar booger. I'm into it, baby. Chris Rock is this new Chris Rock. If he's doing drugs now, and I don't think he never really talks about drugs in his special, and I think Chris Rock's one of the guys. If he was doing a lot of drugs, he would have talked about it. So the fact that he doesn't really ever talk about drugs in any of his specials makes me think he doesn't really do them. So the fact that he's talking about it now, I mean, I don't want him to go overdose or anything, but I'm like, what's the next Chris Rock?
It's interesting. Mic drop. Mic drop for me. I'm glad you bring it up. It's I didn't pick up on that. I thought it was just like, it's just the end of the special. I'm done. Boom. Mic drop. But it's interesting that you bring it up.
I mean, especially the way he dropped it. It was definitely like to emphasize his point, which was a great point. And then two, to say like, I'm here. That's the stand on the desk, beat your chest. Hey, I'm the king of the jungle type move, and I like that. I really thought that was a cool thing to do.
No, I agree. I agree. And something that just popped up to my head. Isn't it, to me, I watch a lot of, everybody does, the crowd work videos on TikTok, Reels, YouTube Shorts and all that. And for a while, that's just kind of been my favorite type of comedy, where it's just like, people goofing around on stage and hilarious situations happen. And now watching like a proper stand-up special in, long form and all that, it just brought back the love for me, And I feel like for a lot of people, this is going to be the same way where, if you haven't watched a stand-up special in a while, just watch this. Like it's that good. It's that good. I want to talk about just a little bit about Chris Rock's uniqueness as a performer and a comedian. I touched on it a little bit earlier, where he's not like a really wordy and a really over-explainer or like a drawn-out punchline type of guy. He's always blunt and to the point. What do you think are some of the qualities of Chris Rock's, especially in this special? Like, what type of stuff came out to you that's like, oh my God, like, he's really good at doing that, or he's really good at those topics, and
So what makes Chris Rock a different type of demon, is when he touches a subject, he does it in a way that usually. So this is the brilliance of Chris Rock on a whole different level. He touches a subject that most comedians would think is mundane, normal, overdone, and then Chris Rock comes in and he goes, hey, I'm going to show you all the angles you didn't think of, and then I'm going to drill them to the ground. And then after I get done with this topic, nobody else is going to be able to touch it. He when he was talking about old women, I got a couple jokes now about old women. And I like them. They're good jokes. And after watching him talk about dating old women for like 5 minutes, I go, I can't even do no old women jokes anymore. He took all the angles. He took all of it. And he didn't even go that deep, because I'm younger than him, so my angle's different than him. He's old. So he didn't really take the jokes away from me. But after watching him deep dive into it, I'm like, man, what am I doing? Like, it just makes you want to crumple your fucking notes up and throw it. It's like, well, that's how you write a fucking joke. That's how you get into the nuance and the nitty-gritty of a subject or subject, and then really pull out all the perspectives. So what makes him dope is he takes something simple and then he has a little. Him and Seinfeld are good at this. Now he performs. He's more of a performer than Seinfeld. But when they touch a subject, after they get done with it, it's really nothing else you can come behind them and do it, because they hit all the angles, which is a sign of a really good comedian.
Yeah, you get like some sort of a mental fill, a mental satisfaction. You're full. You're mentally full. You're like, what? He did it. He did it. He killed it. All right, let's get into. All right, I put this topic a little further down, but since we're talking about this special, let's bring it up. The slap talk. That's what I was looking forward to the most. I'm not gonna lie. Before even turning on the special, I was hoping he would talk about it, and he went into detail on it. He went into detail how he felt, and and the optics of the situation, and a lot of it was same stuff that people bring up. Will Smith is bigger than Chris Rock, status wise, fame wise, and he just kind of took this opportunity to vent out his frustration from his marriage on him, and so he kind of repeated the same patterns. But for me, the most satisfying part was him coming out and saying, what, fuck you, dude, fuck you. And I was as a fan, I was like, oh my God, I'm satisfied. How did you feel about that whole talk and that whole part of the special?
I think it was very strategic that he put it at the end of it, because like 40 minutes in, I'm like, all right, man, you gonna talk about it or what? But then he gets to it, and then he doesn't disappoint. I thought it was one thing he did really well is I felt like he didn't do too much, to quote the young kids these days. He didn't do too much. He did exactly. He told you how he felt about it. He told you the situation. He told you how he made you feel, why he reacted the way he did. He told you my favorite part about it is when he was honest about his relationship with Will Smith. I was a fan. And to me, I was like, man, it really brought to the point that I think people keep forgetting. Chris Rock at the Oscars was telling a joke. He was doing his job. He has nothing against Will Smith. And Will Smith is wise enough and smart enough to know this. So for him to get up there and do that to Chris Rock, it really was just not fair. And another thing, I don't know if we're going to get into this, he put Chris Rock at a disadvantage in this sense too, because Will Smith is so popular, and so many people fuck with him and like him. And because on the surface of the issue, it seems like a good cause. I'm defending my wife who's a black woman. Now, because of that, Chris Rock is always going to be disliked for a certain portion of society just because of what the symbolic issue of what what Will Smith kind of did to him, which is not the case. He went up there, did his job. Will Smith knew he was doing a job, got in his feelings to prove a point to society, which he did not do. Took it out on Chris Rock, and now Chris Rock. I was listening to some one of my black female friends, and she's like, "Well, he's always just poking at he's always like punching down." I go, "That's his job." And he's not punching down, and two, that's his job. If you feel that way, you should call him out in a communicative way. You don't put your hands on nobody.
No, and it's interesting. Oscars is entertainment business. Chris Rock was there working. Will Smith was there working. When you accepted an award for a movie you're in, or when you're nominated for an award for a movie you're in, that's your job to show up. And if you win, accept the award and all that. And Will Smith, when he went up there, he said, "I'm bigger than everything and everybody in this room. And I'm offended by what Chris Rock has said. So I'm just going to do what I want to do." And Chris Rock couldn't do anything because that would put him in jeopardy too, like his whole career in jeopardy too. And that the ending line of the special, black men don't fight in front of white people.
Well, black people don't fight in front of white people, which is a saying I've never been personally told, but my mom has told me. Her mother used to tell her that, and it is a saying in the black community that was a very profound point. Which is what he was saying, one, on the surface level, which is pull me to the side. Let's talk about this like men. And then on a deeper level, it were people who saw that, and now they're wrong. And this is just racist people and bigots and ignorant people who's going to take this angle regardless. But they did see that shit and like, look at the black people fighting on TV. This is supposed to be your best offering to society. Will Smith, one of the greatest actors of all time. Chris Rock, one of the greatest comedians of all time. Both well-spoken, smart individual guys. And then as soon as they get a chance, they fight. And that's what now some of these white people have. And that's wrong. That's not a real thing to do. You judge people by individuals. Will Smith does not represent me. Chris Rock does not represent me. But that's the angle people have now. And he's right.
Yeah. And, very profound point that he brought up and left me thinking. Like when the special was done, I was left thinking, and it just like the whole slap talk and all that was just kind of boiling in my head. Yeah, let's dig a little bit deeper into the backlash, the response. What type of stuff have you seen out there when you're scrolling around on the internet that's just kind of caught your eye about the special? You mentioned it. Your friend, she had something to say about Chris Rock. Has there been anything else that you've seen that you're like, you know what, I don't really agree with that? And what are the points that you don't agree with?
I've heard one thing I keep hearing is how I forgot the word people use. What do you call it when you like you're acting like you're not doing something that you're doing when you're like messing with your like partner?
Gaslighting.
Yeah, I've heard people say the special is gaslighting. And I thought that shit I thought that was reaching. But I've heard that a lot.
What?
Yeah, I've heard people say the special is gaslighting. No, for real.
What?
Because they're saying he's playing, ironic enough, that he's playing victim and he didn't deserve the slap. It's people who honestly, if you put them on a lie detector, think Will Smith's response was appropriate for Chris Rock's actions. And that is the thing I don't agree with. In any case.
Yep.
So those are the things. I think somehow people are trying to possibly take the angle that Chris Rock doesn't like black women. I don't know how you can get that angle. He made I don't know if you remember this. I had to watch this in school. He made a documentary on black kids. But he made a doc breaking down all the things and all the struggles black women go through for their hair. Chris Rock has been an ally on this subject for literally years. So for people to make it like he's a misogynistic sexist, or misogynistic racist sexist, it's just crazy. It's not truthful, and it's not fair to do to him. But those are the things I disagree with. I disagree with the fact that the special's gaslighting. He was just being honest. That's what you do as an artist. You be honest. And he's also defending himself because rightfully or wrongly, after the slap happened, the internet came up with its own conclusions, which it does. And Chris Rock, like any human being, probably had to sit at his house in the darkness and just take all that punishment and be the social outcast to his fucking friends and family as a fucking punk for up until now. So I just think some people just didn't give him an honest break or an honest chance. Will Smith, you can make an argument, up until now, was a superhero. Like a literal, I'm not talking about the movie. In our eyes, he was what you call a superhero. He took over the music industry, the TV industry, the movie industry, and then on top of that was just arguably the most talented person on the planet. Maybe one person touched him, maybe Jamie Foxx. So and then social media came around, and then what happened? He started sharing more. He started being more honest. He wanted to stay in the light. Then, if you want to be in the light in today's time, you got to do something that catches eyes. Well, I'm going to bring up my affair that my wife is, even though it might not have been an affair. And because that's another thing people use all the time. Well, they have an open relationship, so, maybe, so that's semantics. He brought up what he brought up on the Red Table Talk, which is apparently, the way it sounded to me, an affair that his wife was having. And then because of that, it led to this moment, which now we go, oh, Will Smith is an asshole. He's an asshole. But that only happened because of social media and us being close. If we never had social media, Will Smith would still be a guide to most people. He was one slap away from being still like, holy shit, that's Will Smith. To like, it's Will Smith.